Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm not kidding you. I am so tired of this stupid...
You look fine when people see it. It's not such...
Good morning. Welcome to Daily Dose. How about if I do this? See, there's my nose.
There you go. Just keep
I
that
just
there
need
for
a color balance. I need a white balance.
12 minutes, you'll be fine.
Infuriating. Infuriating. Good morning. Sorry. Hate that. Okay. Today we're talking about Eckhardt Tolle, who's a German, now lives in Canada, theologian and thought leader. And this is all based on a 21-day meditation that I am doing with Oprah and Deepak Chopra, all around unlocking creativity to live a limitless life. It's actually really spectacular. And I wanted to play some of it for you today, but it's super copyrighted, as you can imagine. And so I decided, in the spirit of honoring creativity, I would not break the copyright. That feels like a bad idea. Feels like a bad arts administrator to do that.
It's a bad idea in general.
Well, that's true, but it feels particularly bad when you're someone who advocates for artists and their work. So I'm just going to read you some of these things, and then we'll talk about them. So two things from today that I just thought were really relevant to the work of Daily Dose. The first is, the primary cause of unhappiness is never the situation, but thoughts about it. Be aware of the thoughts you are thinking. Separate them from the situation, which is always neutral. It is as it is. Do you have anything you'd like to add to that? The primary cause of unhappiness is never the situation, but thought about it. So what is that doing for you as a listening audience? Because I think for me, I guess I'll talk, you didn't.
Well, I mean, it's basically saying that, you know, I bet you at any one point everyone's got something that's going to bug them for the day. You know, you've got a meeting coming up and then...
Having no nose bugs me. Just as a side note.
Keep looking at me, you can see it.
That's true, you have a great nose.
No, you can see it in profile. Look, there you go.
Look at that. Yeah. Okay, anyway, I'm sorry. Back to you.
No, let's talk more about Dana's nose. Today, here's a great example. Today, Dana momentarily is convinced that her nose has disappeared. So she is not enjoying this because she's not living in the moment, because she's consumed with negative thoughts.
That's true.
So, yeah.
Be aware of the thoughts you are thinking. Separate them from the situation, which is always neutral. Actually, for you, what do you care if you can see my nose or not? You're absolutely right. It's totally about how I'm perceiving it, because, of course, the other thing to remember is that no one's paying as much attention to me as I am to me, because you're all busy paying attention to yourselves, which is not a bad thing.
Get an office downtown and charge people $200 for it.
$200 wouldn't cover an office downtown, just as an FYI.
Well,
okay.
Hopefully we'll have more than one
client.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have anything of any legitimacy to say around that?
No, I mean, it's quite a powerful statement. Everyone's guilty of this. Absolutely.
Okay, so we just said nothing for 4 minutes, both of us. We talked primarily about my nose. Here's the second quote. Life will give you whatever experience is most helpful for the evolution of your consciousness. How do you know this is the experience you need? Because this is the experience you are having at the moment. So let's keep this serious and relevant.
I mean, a lot of people get into, I wish that hadn't happened, or I wish this didn't happen, or I wish that happened instead. Well, you know, life doesn't generally work that way. You've got to just accept if you can deal with what's coming, you're actually going to be a happier human being.
Well, and as I have said many, many times, now that I'm past it, if I had to go back and redo Maz's alcoholism, the 6 incredibly uncertain weeks, and getting back to today, I would absolutely choose it again. Because, and this is where I think it becomes a really important point, because I'm only speaking about me. For me, I had some really profound lessons to learn that I probably couldn't have learned any other way. I had to go through all of that darkness to find my own light. That discounts or doesn't discount, it sets aside what we have gained, and it certainly doesn't acknowledge what you have gained, because I'm only talking about it from my perspective. But my learning in that time, what I figured out about myself, the good and the bad, has made me a much better person. And here's what's interesting. Who would have chosen that? I wouldn't have. If you could just lay out your path and someone could say, do you want option A, B, C, or D? And here are the pitfalls. Nobody would say yes to that. And I'm going to argue nobody would say yes to an unplanned pregnancy at 22 as well. And let me promise you that was the equally first or second, tied for first, because we'll treat this like European football. You can tie. Those were equally important lessons for me to learn, neither of which I would have picked if given the option.
Yeah, I mean, the heart, if you want the bottom line of this is, I like myself now a whole of a lot better than I think I ever did in my life. I am at peace with myself, and the biggest tragedy of that is I'm 51.
Why is that tragic?
I would have liked to have been at peace with myself in my teenage years.
Yeah, but do you think anybody's at peace with themselves in their teenage years?
Well, actually, I thought I was, and clearly I was wrong. So,
well, but maybe you were at peace with the you who was that age.
I think I was probably an idiot.
Well, of course you were, but that's because we're all idiots as 17-year-olds.
That's very kind of you to say.
But, well, I mean, I thought I was quite remarkable at 17 and probably 22 and probably 35. And I still think I'm quite remarkable, but I'm much more remarkable today for having lived through some stuff that banged me up, that taught me humility and taught me who my group of people are and taught me how to overcome things. And although, it's easy to be great when nothing's happened to you, or to think you're great when nothing's happened to you. Where the rubber hits the road is when you are confronted with a challenge. And how you choose to deal with the challenge is what you need in the moment. And I think there's something really powerful in that.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it easier. If someone very close to me were diagnosed with a terminal illness, I wouldn't think, well, this is just what my consciousness needs. That's not the point of this. The point is that you do need it, whether you know it or not. And I think if you're lucky, you have the opportunity to reflect back on it and see that was a period of terrific change and deepening. Because ultimately, we can either be surface people or we can be deep people.
Yeah.
And you can only go deep if you start to dig and find some stuff.
It's time for a mysterious quote. I heard this somewhere. It's a fantastic story, and I won't go into it in too much.
You have plenty of time.
Oh, well, the bottom line of this is someone was, you're in a situation when someone's talking to you, and the best thing you can say, because it's absolutely true, is they say, well, how is this going to get any easier? And the answer to that is, it doesn't, but you get stronger. Because you do, if you can accept and learn from everything that happens to you, you do get stronger. And then you can address, analyze, and work through whatever happens next. That makes you stronger. And if you accept that, I think that's where true happiness actually comes from.
Well, certainly, if you look at people who have survived truly horrific things, I think so often of the women of Rwanda. So primarily that genocide was that the 90s? I can't remember, 80s or 90s.
Yeah, I think it straddled. It's probably still going on.
Of course, men were killed and women were horrifically raped and abused. And I mean, inconceivable things happened in that country. And what Rwanda has done today is the women who survived that, the mothers, the wives, the sisters, the daughters who survived that, of one tribe, and many of the men who were the perpetrators of the other tribe, have found their way back to sort of an adoption system where those men have adopted these women as their mothers and sisters and daughters to take care of them and to bring about health, healing, and harmony, not just to the country, but to individuals. Okay, God willing, I will never live through anything like that. And those people have found a place of peace and wholeness that most of us in the Western world can't even imagine, because we're so surfacey. And they have gone deep because they have lived through something truly extraordinary. Dr. Edith Eger is another perfect example. You have to read The Choice and the Gift. You just have to. How that woman got through that time in World War II, overcame her survivor's guilt, pulled herself up by the bootstraps in the truest sense of the word, not the Midwestern, I'm white and was born to a huge farm family, so I've really had to work to make my way in the world. You can too. She really had to figure some things out. Profoundly damaging things. And she has. So it's about recognizing what you're in and still being okay with it being terrible. I can say I learned a lot from Maz's time in the hospital and rehab. And it was terrible.
Yeah, well, I learned a lot that I'm going to be incredibly grateful for, but it was terrible.
Yeah.
But
we couldn't have learned it any other way. You and I must have needed that kind of lesson to become the kind of people we've become today. And so I guess the challenge to us all then is, how do you not be ruined by setbacks and disappointments and failures and tragedy? How do you not be ruined by it? But how do you use it to propel you forward? Because actually, you received that because you needed it.
I was in one of the meetings. I do miss going to these in face-to-face meetings, but we were talking about this one Friday night, and someone asked a question and said, what do you do if no one can accept any change? What do I do if no one can look at me in the eye and say, well done for getting yourself sober after all these years? And someone just behind me put up their hand and said, that's not your problem. Your problem is that if you can deal with it, it's not your fault they can't.
Yeah, they've got a different lesson to learn, I guess. Amazing. Thanks, Eckhardt Tolle. Thanks, Oprah Winfrey and Deepak Chopra. There are a couple of days left. If you are interested, just do a Google search for Oprah and Deepak, the 21-day Unlocking Your Creativity meditation. Even if you are squeeby about meditation, I'm not a great meditator, but I keep trying. But listen to the section that comes up before each meditation. I believe now you can only have access to the first 14, but they are really a lovely way to set the intention for your day. So, anything else, Dr. Mary?
Yes.
Okay.
I feel duty bound because we're doing all this stuff on this internet thing. Please, apparently, it's a big deal and it will help us out if you hit like or subscribe, or do it the old-fashioned way and talk to people about this.
Don't be crazy.
Yeah, well, I hope spring's eternal. There you go.
Yes, I appreciate that you keep remembering that, Dr. Mary. Yeah, it would be great if you would share this content. If it's meaningful for you, it might be meaningful for other people too. Happy Tuesday. It's not at all like yesterday.
Spring's over.
Yeah, yes. Spring has come and gone.
Yes.
So welcome to Fargo. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.